Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another exciting Minecraft discussion on all things well-being. This is Dr. Kimberly Quinn in the deep woods, which in northern Vermont during rifle season, most people would consider to be pretty insane. But this place there's not as much traffic, so I'm thinking I go with the Pikachu hat, which I get lots of compliments on. Little G is dressed up in his hunting season orange, and I have him on a leash, which he is not thrilled about because he's not usually on a leash, but I got to keep him close to me because you never know. Words cannot even describe how gorgeous it is. Like, I'm a snow person, I'm definitely a winter person, and the confectioner's sugar thing on the leaves with the orangey colors is absolutely just breathtaking. I almost feel like high, you know what I mean? Like the crystals, and it's just so freaking gorgeous. Okay, so I was sort of inspired from somewhere, which means in spirit. I'm not really sure from where. That it came into my mind because my students been talking a lot about failure, which is also in the context of class. I don't want to make it sound. My Minecrafters, especially, we're week 10s, we're literally 2/3 of the way through the semester, have really developed and cultivated some fabulous happiness lifestyle strategy. So they're actually doing pretty well, all things considered. And it is that time of the semester, right before Thanksgiving, where there's kind of a lull because there's a lot of midterms and projects, and they're kind of eager to go home for Thanksgiving and things like that. Though it was within the context of what we're doing, because there is a method to my madness. So we're talking about mindset with Carol Dweck. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. So as many of you may know, we talked about this a little bit. I'm not going to totally reside here because I got other stuff to think about with failure. But the growth mindset, the fixed mindset kind of basically means like, you know, the heavens parted and this is what I've been dealt. These are the cards I've been dealt, like the permanent poker hand. Even in poker, it's not permanent, which is kind of like a dumb example. We use it off a lot though, right? The cards I've been dealt. You can change the cards you dealt. You can also start a new game. But anyway, bad example. Okay, so fixed meaning that like, this is my intelligence I was given. The clouds parted, genetics, whatever. This is my athletic ability. This is my artistic ability, whatever. And that this is just it. And of course, the growth mindset, you know, says that that's all fluid, because the big main theme with the whole growth, the whole mindset picture with Carol Dweck is effort. So those are the fixed mindset, are like, these are the cards I've been given. Effort is therefore not necessary, or it's a sign of weakness, or I just don't have to, don't want to. Things are, and also leads to pessimism, right? And the 3 P's for pessimism are everything's personal, pervasive, and permanent, right? And the growth mindset is kind of like the polar opposite of that. Remember the spectrum thing. We can be fixed, and here's growth, and we can kind of be in the middle with certain circumstances. But the growth mindset, I love, because the growth mindset really also embraces skills. You know how much a fan I am, because skills means we can learn something. The fixed mindset crew, they're not really that into that. This is what I've been given, and that mindset leaks into relationships and all kinds of stuff. But the growth mindset thing, like if we put in the effort, we can learn how to do anything, right? And we can learn to be more positive. We can increase our intelligence. We can you know, just continue to be lifelong learners. We can better our relationships with effort. I mean, it's just a better thing. So that all leads to failure. This is another main theme of Carol Dweck. It's like Carol Dweck in a nutshell, and there's a lot to her. I would strongly suggest reading her work. She's pretty amazing. So the main themes are that people with the fixed, I'm stuck mindset view effort differently versus the growth mindset people that know that they can have the agency, kind of make a choice and choose to get better at whatever it is. And the other one is the other main theme, in my opinion, is how those 2 mindsets look and process the concept, and it is a concept of failure, right? Because really, the only meaning anything has, whether it's failure or money or whatever it is we're talking about, the only meaning anything has is what we give it, right? And so the fixed mindset people try so hard to avoid failure because they've been labeled the intelligent one, the athletic one, the artistic one, the whatever one in the family, the one with the great relationships, who knows, that they often do everything they can to avoid failure. So Carol Dweck even found with little kids who had been labeled as like the smart one in their family, or, you know, had this growth, for whatever reason, had a fixed mindset, they would actually go so far as to cheat on tests. And at the college level, or in high school and college level, sometimes avoid taking a really cool class because they thought it might mess up their straight A's plan. That's just so sad to me. to me. Anyway, so it would go to any lengths to, because failure to them is like hitting a brick wall, and it's because of the meaning that the word has been given. This is the important thing. Whereas the growth mindset crew are better able to deal with the setbacks and learn from it and move forward. Not to say that any of us look forward to quote unquote failures, that would be a tough sell. However, it's how we deal with them. And so many people have said, it's not, the experiences aren't really what make us, they're what reveal us, right? And kind of thing. And that's good. And there are tons of one-liners out there from some of our greatest American presidents. Winston Churchill's got a bunch. But really, it's about, it's a word thing. It has such a stigma. If we sort of don't learn from whatever it is, that's really the problema, not the what it is itself. And so what I really like to shift into and lean into is the idea that failure is really just about producing results. I get a little shout out to Wayne Dyer, because I listen to Dyer, sorry, D-Y-E-R. I love to listen to him, and he has said this a lot, where it's really just producing results. Our thoughts, remember, lead to feelings, lead to behavior. Since we are not perfect, a word I don't like and delete from my vocabulary, except when I have to make a point, like now, none of us are. We're all imperfect, so really, whether it's we gained weight, we had a project that the boss didn't like at work, we had a project that the professor liked or didn't like, or teacher didn't like, or we didn't study and got a whatever grade on the test, or we did study and got a whatever grade on the test. These are all just results. They're just results. And the failure word is such a stigma that I think it sets people back worse. It's really just the results. And so I couldn't help thinking about one of my favorite high school teachers, and I was thinking of this in the Jeep on the way over here, Mr. Serco. Mr. Serco taught physics, and because of his, I think I was a senior, junior, senior, doesn't matter, because of Mr. Serco's teaching style, without any exaggeration, I would say lightning strike me, but it's like a bluebird up there anyway. Plus I don't want to be struck by lightning. I learned to love physics. So granted, I like science in general, but physics had their reputation, same thing, meaning, right? The stereotype of being just a grade crusher and hard and a brain torture and all that stuff. I ended up loving physics because of him. And so this is super metaphorical. Mr. Serco is, I'm sure, long since gone, because he was way old when I had him, way back in the early 80s. Wonderful man. His teaching style is so metaphorical for what life does. So Mr. Serco's teaching plan, in addition to being a funny guy, he had 10 quizzes. Anyway, they were quizzes, and he didn't call them tests and didn't call them exams. Looking back as a grown-up and also an educator, I'm thinking, because those words are way scarier than quizzes, and because physics is a hard science, assessment-wise, you got to do something in that range. So they were quizzes, and there are 10 of them, and his policy was you could take any of those quizzes as many times as you wanted to, even if, let's say you got to the unit 5 and you already did quizzes 1, 2, 3, and 4. It doesn't matter to him. You set up an appointment and you took whatever quizzes. Again, no limit. He didn't average them. He took whichever one you did best on. And content-wise, he was also very, good and effective actually teaching. And so obviously each and every quiz was the same content. Maybe it's not obvious, I don't know. Same content, though still challenge. So he kept you on track because, it was similar but very different, like different numbers. It was numbers were involved in different, and different, maybe a little different scenario, like with the word. But it was very, very, very similar. So you recognized it, and so you were learning. Oh my gosh, you just had such a good teaching style. So the fact that we could take quizzes over and over and keep the best one, to me, is so metaphorical for life, because life gives us quizzes, which sometimes feel like a final exam. When we get that big life curveball, it's just like, if you can feel like a final exam. But this is, how it works. And actually, I have a funny story with a friend of mine who happens to be also the brother of my bestie from St. Mike's, and he went to St. Mike's too. We really became friends. In addition to my college roommate, and I saw him not that long ago. I think I've used this story before, but it really fits with this. And he was just feeling he's been at his job position that he loves. He works, I think it's like a special education. He really, really likes it. He's a very good person. He's been there for a long time. And it was really beginning to get challenging and get in the way of his work performance because there were, I guess, 3 of them, and he's one of the easiest people to get along with. I mean, he's a happy bubble. He's just the nicest guy, very easy going. And he said, there are 3 of them. He's like, Kim, like a toxic trio. What do I do? And he loves where he works and everything else. I was really beginning to get in the way. And he said to me, he said, you know what I did? I got to this point, he said, I'm walking way uphill right now, in case you can't tell. He said, Kim, I said, I prayed to God, and I said, God, help me, please help me to figure out how to deal with difficult people. And then he kind of kicked at the ground with his foot and looked up at me and smiled. And he said, Kim, you know what God did? And I said, what, Bill? And he said, he sent me more difficult people. And I just about cracked up. And so that's how it works, I think, with our concept of failing. You know, it's like, and it's Mr. Circle with his quizzes. Life does this. And another thing, too, is all of this can be a really tough sell when we're in the mud. Like we just got laid off and we've done such a great job, or we've been doing such a great job, and so-and-so's niece or nephew or whatever got the job, you know, or the promotion instead of us because of the politics and all this crap. And that stuff happens in life every day somewhere, right? And all of that can be a really tough sell when we're in it. And then, though, when you're further down the road a little bit, me at a fabulous 56, when you look back and you realize things that looked like failures or speed bumps in the road were nothing more than a redirection, right? Our behavior produced results, and if we stay neutral with that, then it takes away the stigma of failure, right? It's just, we produced results. Like it went that way, and it went that way. And it's interesting, because actually Wayne, I just thought of it this second, especially since I'm in the woods. Maybe that's why it came to me. Wayne Dyer talks about, I forget the, oh, it was a Native American, don't ask me the tribe because I wouldn't know. But it was a Native American saying that there really are no, there are trees, there are no branches. Because if you think about it, and about the branch, and if they were, they wouldn't go to battle, something like that, because it's like we're all just connected. We're all just connected. The failure thing is applicable to this because it's all just results. Like it's thoughts and feelings and behavior interacting with the rest of it, and it's just one big connection pointing us in a new direction. And then the time is right for all of it, and that can be a really tough sell when we're in it. Then when we look back, it's all part of like the plan. You know, it's spiritually, it's all in sync, and we just don't always like that, including myself. I've been like, sometimes, you know, through my life, I'm like, what the, WTF? You know what I'm saying? But when you look back, you're like, wow. I remember feeling like my first senior year at St. Mike's, like, how did I screw up biochemistry and all this other stuff? And I ended up staying and adding psychology. It's too much for this video, but I was definitely feeling like I screwed up. I mean, I just definitely feel like I really screwed it up. More time, more money, and everything else. And as it turned out, my then boyfriend is my now husband. If I didn't stay the next year, I'm not so sure that would have happened. And then there's the 5 kids. And it's when you look back, and I actually share that story with my students, because I have a lot of students locked into this have to do it in 4 years thing, like it's written on in granite or marked in a tree someplace, and it isn't. And it's more from this video, but I had a series of mess ups that I was like that were really residing in me. I remember sitting on a curb right outside the townhouse, just sobbing my guts out, like, how did I let this happen? All my friends are graduating. I added psychology. Okay, so there's the then boyfriend who's now the husband, and now the 5 kids, and we're very happy, yada yada yada. And my career in psychology is it's a calling. We talked about that. It's a calling. I'm like as happy as anybody could possibly be professionally. I wouldn't change one thing, and that's all the psychology, well-being stuff. So imagine if I didn't stay that extra year, the husband in psychology. I was pre-med. As much as I love science, I would have been probably very bored by now doing that. I'm just saying. Unless I was a surgeon, maybe. But anyway, see, so what can feel like a tremendous series of failures is just results. It's just, we're just producing results, and it's obviously learning, and it's often a redirection. Awesome. This is Kimberly Quinn signing. I almost forgot who it was for a second because I'm in the woods. I'm like flying high. This is Dr. Kimberly Quinn signing off from the gorgeous bluebird of a sky and in the deep woods of northern Vermont with little G. Have a mindful day.